Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the We Know the Traitors podcast over here on RHAP. I am your host, of course, the Duke of Deception, Pooya Bakili. With me is my lovely co-host, Brian Scally. And we are joined here today by someone described as bananas, and I cannot wait to find out exactly why. Dylan, how are you doing at this hour?
I'm doing well. I wish I wasn't murdered, but I'm doing as well for a dead person.
Hmm.
Dylan, what was your reaction to being murdered? Did you think you were at risk that night, or was this a complete surprise?
It was a complete surprise. I'm like actually kind of surprised. Like all my testimonials that night, I was like, "There's no way I'm getting murdered. I can't believe how far I'm getting in this game." Like it's definitely like I think if it was a normal night of murder, I think it would have been Trana and Merlinda. That would have been the obvious choices, Xing them off. But you know what? It was a murder in plain sight, and I got.
Yeah, you mentioned when you got the letter, the letter of notification that you had been murdered. This is so embarrassing. What did you mean by that? Which part of it?
Well, I think you can see in episode one that I basically said, like, I don't want to be murdered. This is embarrassing. And I honestly think it is embarrassing a little bit to be murdered because, like, when you're banished, you get to, like, have your final say and be like, and that's why you're all wrong. Or, thank God you guys got a traitor tonight. But when you're murdered, it's like, goodbye. No one, you don't get to see anybody. So I actually kind of played the game like purposely to try to get banished or obviously like not to get murdered,
Hmm.
which in the end of the day, it didn't work out, but only hot people get murdered in plain sight. Diane, Ekansu, and me.
There you go. Now, Dylan, why do you think, besides the reasoning you already mentioned, why do you think that you were chosen by Michael John and the Traitors to be murdered in that way?
Because I was avoiding him like the plague. Uh, so like originally I obviously when I joined the show, I wanted as much screen time as possible. So I'm like, okay, I need to be friends with the traders and things like that. So like I'm always having my like face on the screen or my thoughts. So on the first night, we had met everybody at like that party. And I'm going around, and I think at that time I met Mike and Michael together. So that's why I had that theory that they might be knowing each other because they were like, we know similar people. And I'm like, you guys are kind of like the same person. And Michael out of nowhere, Michael John, just started singing a song, like copyrighted material. And I know from Kathy Griffin said, anytime you want to make sure the camera will not have something on camera, start singing a Beatles song, and then they're not going to pay for the license. So I was like, I need to avoid him because he's not going to make me have airtime. So I never in the car with him. I avoid him so much because I'm like, I want screen time. I don't need to talk to this person.
That is so hilarious. I absolutely love that. Dylan, so you in the beginning, in the first episode, you have this moment. Now it makes a lot of sense. We're talking about airtime and stuff,
Yeah.
but you have this little moment where you kind of immediately put suspicion on yourself by talking about how we should be looking at the short list, something along those lines. Was
Oh,
there,
the worst speech on earth.
listen, there's a reason I don't remember the exact quotation.
Yeah. So it's kind of on purpose.
Hmm.
Just go back when we're having the final fight when Kareem goes, you need to pick if you want to be on death row or not. I think Enoch goes pretty quickly. I think Kevin goes pretty quickly, and Lauren, and then I think reluctantly Chris goes. And so as soon as I see it's Chris, Enoch, and Kevin, and as a huge fan of reality TV, I kind of know they're kind of the same person. Like it's the same character essentially. So like it's gonna be one of them. So we have the round table. I love RuPaul's Drag Race, and on RuPaul's Drag Race, there's always that famous line of like, "Wow, getting out of drag, there's some like really attractive people in this room." But
Hmm.
the traitors version of that is like, "Does anyone admit they're a traitor after that?" So I say that line. No one talks about death row, so I make sure at the end when it's over, I'm like, Dylan, give the worst speech on earth, but don't put any blame on anybody. So I think I say something like, you guys would all make good traitors or faithfuls, but what happens now will impact the game or something like that. Literally just looked scared. And it's not in the edit, but a number of people called out afterwards that I drank all my water. So I wanted to make sure that there was like a lot of sauce on me so that they wouldn't murder me because why would you murder the loudest person in the room? And so as soon as that actually happens, Chris and Enoch don't speak. And I'm in my head, I'm like, well, one of them is murdered, not me.
Okay, so the decision to put yourself on death row, that's specifically a a screen time decision because you're risking a whole season of potential screen time there.
They give you some wine, and so I think it was a little liquid courage. And then lastly, it's just like as soon as I saw those three characters, I was like, no way, Lauren's dying. It's gonna be one of the bros. So let's just you're fine to do this, and then you could be a little crazy person.
Dylan, this feels like a bit of a silly question for me, but I'm curious. It sounds like you're very well versed in the Traitors universe. How much of the Traitors had you watched before going on the show?
So I've watched all of UK and US, and then I
Hmm.
tried Australia, but they do these like tracksuits, and I just can't handle that. So like I immediately said no, I'm not doing that. And then New Zealand, I tried watching the first season, but so low budget. Since then, I've watched the second season. It's probably one of the best seasons I've ever seen. So I really like the show of the UK and the US version. So I definitely am pretty well versed in play styles and things like that.
Okay. And so being well versed in reality TV, pop culture, was there anyone that was in the mansion with you that you were familiar with before meeting them
Yeah,
there?
I'm a gay man, so Melinda, of course, you
There we
have to
go.
know here. Um, uh, I kind of knew who Netta was because every single year I have to watch Ica destroying those letters, and Netta's on that scene, and so that's a pretty like amazing scene to watch. And then it turned out I like kind of knew some other people, like I kind of had an idea of who Mary Jo was and Kevin, but I didn't really know them, like I didn't recognize their face.
So I alluded to this at the beginning of the interview. Mary Jo calls you bananas on the way out. What other things happened in between your death row speech and here, where Mary Jo is like calling you bananas?
I think that we liked each other, and then she wanted to make sure that like there was no suspicion on me. So she was like trying to make sure that I wasn't getting outed because
Mhm.
there was a lot of talk about the people that were in the like the banishment or the murders row, whatever you want to call it, where one of them has to be a traitor. So I think she was trying to add that. Also, after the horse mission, I kick everybody out of the car. I basically am like, I'm only doing this with Mary Jo. And I think I kicked Ned out of the car, which is crazy because I would have got more screen time. Um, but I essentially say to her, like, it's Kevin, it's got to be Kevin, it's Kevin for XYZ. And for, I was like insane about it. And so I think that's why I was pretty bananas. Come on.
So you mentioned the theory about thinking Mike and Michael John knowing each other. That was just because they knew people in common, or?
Well, I mean, like, as I said, I'm a pretty big fan of the Traitors. Like, there's
Mhm.
always like some people that know each other. Like, I think that happens in every single season. So I knew just right away that there had to be some kind of element like that. I mean, I kind of think the family thing I thought had been played out enough. So like, what's better than like Mike and Mike Ghost Hour and like they're basically like kind of very similar podcasts. One does a true crime, the other one does a paranormal. So I'm like, is that how you guys know each other like that? And like at first day they were kind of by each other a lot, and then I called them out and then they stopped being by each other, and I'm like, okay, was that on purpose?
How did you feel with regards to finding out who the traitors were after the fact? Who was the most surprising to you?
Okay, here's the thing is that everybody post the show has been like, oh my God, I knew it was Netta. Oh my God, of course, Michael John Kira. I was like going into it 100%. Like, I was like, well, Kevin's definitely it, and Lauren's definitely it. But I wasn't trying to call them out that much because you like, if you just call it a traitor, then they'll just repopulate with someone else that you don't know who it is. So I didn't really want to be a traitor hunter. Like, all my votes are essentially to like shield me and not to traitor hunt. Like I vote for Cedric. Cedric's not a traitor. I would just wanted to have that line of like calm yourself. And like Mike's not a traitor. I just know he's kind of like silly at the game and kind of Mr. Magoo. And then Mary Jo, I voted for her because like it was just so obvious. And if I didn't vote for her, then I could shield myself like, well, you all voted for her too. So it felt like I didn't want to vote, but it was like to shield myself.
Okay. So Dylan, who did you have really good relationships with in the house? Who were you trying to work with?
Mary Jo. uh, Mary Jo, Trana, I think I had a pretty good relationship with Lauren and Lori. Essentially, no males, all the females. I mean, I think at one point, like, one time Kirkland's crying and me and Gail are talking and we're just avoiding him. And it's just like basically like I was trying to repair my relationship with Gail because she put a lot of sauce on me at one round table. It's not really showing the edit, but she was like kind of like was like it's Dylan. And I was like, whoa, I thought we were friends. Like I thought we were having some fun. And we come from similar worlds. She comes from wrestling. I come from politics. So it's a lot of that kayfabe thing. So
Mhm.
yeah, mostly the women is like all the people I trusted.
Now, you mentioned Kirkland. I do remember you telling him to, I think it was quote, shut the F up during a challenge. How was
Oh
your
yeah.
relationship after that?
You know what? It's so crazy because it was like it was a physically like one of the hardest challenges. I like it was like 17 CrossFit like classes in like 1 second. And honestly, I don't even remember like it saying it to Kirkland specifically. I think I was just kind of saying like let's, I'm a huge fan of the Traitors. Things always end with 5 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, oh my God, we did it. So like in my mind, I was like, why are we calling out the time when that will become like then story? Stop talking about it, then it's not story. So it was mostly that. In the end, if I've one contribution to the Traitors, I prove that the timer exists and it's real. So I'm really proud of
Dylan, I know we're running out of time here. You are clearly a very big fan of reality TV. Is this it for you, or would you do other projects? And if so, what are some other shows you might be looking at or will be into?
I mean, if you're a casting agent, I'm here. Let's do some more. I mean, if you thought it was fun TV, let's do it. I'm up for whatever. I mean, I don't know how to cook. I can do Top Chef. Real Housewives, let's do it. Anything.
Fingers crossed that works out. Dylan, this was so much fun.
Yeah,
Good.
we had a
Good.
good time.
All right.
Take
Thanks so
care.
much.
Have a good
Bye.
one. Bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the We Know the Traitors podcast over here on RHAP. I'm your host, the Duke of Deception, Pooya Keeley. With me is my lovely co-host, the one and only Brian Scally, and we are here to talk to, as representatives of Team Hot Mess, the leader of Team Hot Mess. It's Jasmine. Jasmine, how are you doing at this hour?
I'm doing great. I guess I gotta represent what a hot mess is. So there, you've seen it.
Oh, Jasmine, it was so fun having you on the show, and I'm really sad that we're talking to you already. But I gotta say, Jasmine, now coming into the Traitors, I am curious. How much of the Traitors had you watched before? Were you coming in with like a full breadth of knowledge on the show, or what prep had you done?
So, the only Traitors show I've ever seen is the season 1 of Traitors Canada. So I know there's Traitors UK, the USA. I didn't take the time to watch those shows, but I guess I was overly confident. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go full on, like just like every other contestant that comes into the show. We all want, most of us, want to be Traitors. Even like the conversations I've had, because you have the chance to control the game. You have higher chances of winning the jackpot as well. So I just thought like watching season 1 of Traitors Canada, I knew it all, but obviously I was wrong. So it's a lesson learned. It's my first reality TV show, so it's gonna make me wiser over time.
And how did it feel now knowing that it was your first experience on reality TV? Did you take a liking to it? Are you intrigued to do more in the future? Where do you stand?
Absolutely, I love it. I love entertaining people. Like I'm, I think I think people love to watch a person like me. Like I was like, you guys saw, like, keep in mind, like you guys know I was a faithful. So like if I was a traitor, I would not be showing my personality. I'll be quiet. I was
Hmm.
showing who Jasmine is. And like this is who I am. Like I'm loud, I'm opinionated, and this is who I am. And like it is what it is. But it is a game, and I thought I was right, but as faithfuls, we were just so confused. The traders were phenomenal. They played the game really well, and they really sabotaged any type of friendships that were being created, any type of alliances. They did a great job, so I applaud them.
So I know that unfortunately we do not get your way. We don't get to see you as a traitor. How does your game switch up immediately, having not even considered the possibility seemingly of being a faithful? How does that change?
Well, like you know what? I got like so sleep deprived. Like I was, oh my God, I was like, if you guys saw like my notes, like you guys were like, this girl is like a hotter mess. Like my notes were crazy. Okay. I was just like thinking, I was like, I put like a round table. I'm like, okay, this person was sitting here. Like, what were they acting like? Because obviously the people that like, you know how I picked Aaron? I didn't know what to go based on because as you guys both know, I knew I was right about that. Like I knew Rebecca was a faithful, so I was right about that, and I didn't want to go um put a vote out because all the other faithfuls agreed to that. So I was just like, okay, like I was like, I don't want to be a sheep like everybody else. So after that, I guess I got overly confident, and like Aaron. I wasn't too sure. I didn't know who to pick, and Aaron was really like quiet and observant. Um, after the traitors were picked. So I'm just like, I'm not too sure. But I even said, I'm like, hey, I could be wrong. Don't take it personal. And then after I was picking the wrong people. And also I guess I took things personal as well, where people thought I was a traitor. So I'm like, I'm gonna get rid of you then. If you're gonna like, I'm gonna try to get rid of you because I could be influential too. But I guess Cedric did a better job at that. So I just got really confused. I don't know, like I was, but one thing I gotta say, I was very suspicious of Netta. And it's interesting because when Kirkland came up to me, because he only told me, and it's interesting because that morning Netta came into my head. I'm like, she's really quiet and she's being overly nice. It seems too fake. And but I wasn't too sure. I'm like, let me just be her friend and like get to like observe it, and then I will make that decision. And this game goes really fast. You don't have the time to investigate. So I'm like, let me just like be her, like just like keep it cool with her. I don't want her to think that I'm suspicious of her because I had a feeling she's very clever. And if I put her name in the round table, I have high chances of being murdered, or she can like influence other
For
people. So
sure.
I needed more time, but obviously in this game it goes by so fast that you don't have that time. So if Kirkland was still there, maybe we would have um, been able to influence the other faithfuls. But I really trusted Kirkland. But like when he started, like I thought he went against me when we had that argument. Like he's like, because we did like a pinky promise, like we're not going to tell anybody. And then he brought it up, and I didn't tell anybody. It was just between me and him. Then I'm like, am I being naive? Is he a traitor trying to manipulate me? But I truly, because you guys know I didn't pick him. I'm like, no, he's a faithful. But I had to like really question. It was so confusing. And then I just got lost after that. And then
Yeah.
I started being suspicious of people I didn't really pay attention to. And then Kyra, so there was, we were all sitting on our ride to one of the missions. It was me, Kyra, Rebecca, and Lauren. Obviously, Rebecca was banished, and Kyra came up to me. She's like, you know the conversations that we had, because we were like talking about like who would be a good traitor. And she, you know the conversation we had in the car on our way to the mission. Someone talked about who we thought was a traitor, and I thought, I'm like, okay, well Rebecca's gone. It was me, you. I trusted Kyra. Like I really thought she was
Yeah.
faithful. So that, but also even her being a traitor, she did protect me of not being murdered too. And I love her. Like she's awesome. And we're still friends today. But Lauren was in the car. I did not think she was a traitor. Then I'm like, okay, maybe there's something I'm not seeing. And then that's why I'm like, okay, if I'm like, I will put myself to get murdered or banished. Like at least I could say I
Yep.
did my best as a faithful. Like I'm here to like win for the like even if I don't win, at least like the team faithful team wins. So I'm just like, okay, before Lauren comes, I think she's a traitor, but I didn't even know why I said 100%. That was just like I was just too overly confident, but obviously she was not. But I did ask her after too. I'm like, are you a traitor? And she's like, no, and I trusted her. And after that, and then Cedric, I knew he was like trying to. Cedric knows how to influence others, and then I was ready to go after him. Me and Melinda were like, we're going after Cedric, and from day one, like obviously I was wrong about Aaron, but I did really think Aaron was a traitor. Like I did, but obviously I
Yeah.
was wrong. So I thought Aaron and um, Cedric were traitors, but I was wrong about this too.
Um, so you've told us now about your thoughts on Netta, your thoughts on Kira. Can you tell us about Michael John and how he stacked up to you in the house?
I wasn't really suspicious of him because like I don't want to like assume by like how a person looks, because I did see him
For
do that
sure.
with his beard. I'm like, he looks too obvious if he's a traitor. Like, I don't know. Like, and I had good conversations because I was like, I'm always fascinated by paranormal activity, and like we had really interesting conversations and stuff. I'm like, I think people are like kind of judging him because the way
Hmm,
he looks and like the way he was acting. I'm like, I wasn't too sure, but he wasn't like on my radar to be a traitor. Like, and Kyra was like,
Sure.
I thought she was completely faithful. So it was
hmm.
the three. It was only Netta that I was like,
Okay.
just
So, Jasmine, you talked about how you were one of the only people really asking, like, why Rebecca? Why Rebecca? Why are we going for Rebecca and not really jumping on that train? Do you think that put you off to a disadvantage early, that like other people were seeing you fight against it and they kind of had red flags caught up, or it was more other stuff that was your
Um,
undoing?
I think like the other team members probably like, okay, like Jasmine's not gonna follow what they all do. But like I was right about Rebecca. Like I've conversated with her. Like I knew I'm like this girl cannot be a traitor. There was I don't know, there was nothing that showed me that she was a traitor. And obviously Cedric influenced that too. And then I knew Cedric, like, I was confused about him. I'm like, okay, he's really loud, but I'm really loud too. Like, it's like our personalities that we're showcasing in the end. And I knew, like, if I'm gonna be out, I had a feeling. I guess my this time my intuition was right. I'm like, Cedric is gonna influence everybody, and I will be out. But at least like did whatever I can. But Rebecca, like I just spoke my mind, and that's when I said in the roundtable, like I'm not a sheep. I'm not gonna follow what you guys all do. And the thing that I think will really sabotage the faithful team is like we didn't work as a team. We didn't really talk with each other. I think we just like all got suspicious of every single one and just like sabotage everything. But again, like I mentioned, the traders would sabotage any type of friendships that were being bonded. They did a great job with me and Kirkland. If Kirkland was still in the game, I think like he would be like the one I would really want to work with. Him and like Melinda and Trana, but I know people were suspicious of Melinda and Trana too. But
Yeah.
like I don't know. We were all like a hot mess if you
I
really
was
look at it. The
gonna
faithful,
say,
not the traitor.
if you could unite that group, like, wow, I would be amazed
Yeah,
because
I
that
know.
seemed
I
to have some
couldn't.
drama.
That's something I couldn't unite. That's something I couldn't unite at all.
Can you speak to your relationship with the emotionally intellectual one that
Oh
is
my.
Mike? Because what happened between you two where you're on his lips from pretty much the beginning?
Okay, so the reason I went after him was because the night before we were all sitting at the manor and he said to everyone, he's like, Jasmine, I think you're a traitor. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Mike, why do you think I'm a traitor? Because he's like, you're loud. I'm like, for a guy that does like crime podcasts, like I'm gonna go under your skin. Like you have no idea. I got a mouth on me, you know? I'm like, okay. I'm like, wow, you're so wrong. And like I think he just kept putting like he just kept saying my name. So I'm just like, people are gonna get suspicious of me. And so that day at the round table, I still like honestly, I wasn't 100% sure that he was a traitor, but because he was like saying, "Oh, you're a traitor, because you're loud." He's like, and he says like, I've never met a person like you. But I love him. Like we're friends. He's awesome. I said sorry to him the next day. I'm just like, I'm sorry, and like we created a bond and everything. But like obviously, he would just I think playing the game, he would just keeping it cool with me, but he was still suspicious of me. Maybe Cedric still influenced him or whatever. But like at the round table, I'm like, I still wanted to stay in the game. I'm like, okay, he's gonna keep thinking he's gonna keep putting that suspicion of me being a traitor. So I gotta get this guy out and I'll try to influence everyone at the round table. And like, know what it was? Okay, so I could be an emotional person and I lost track of my words. I was trying to say you're not you can't manage your emotions. So I was trying to say you're not emotionally intelligent. And I think I said emotionally intellect. Like I just like lost track of my words and I was like all over the place. I'm like,
Been
oh
there.
my God, Jasmine,
Same.
like, girl, just keep your mouth shut. But I'm just like, you know what? Like, and the next day when went into breakfast, as you guys know, I'm like, I 100% think Lauren is a traitor. But I was like, no, I have nothing to lose. I'm just gonna put myself out there and just do what I can. But yeah, so
Yeah, why not?
I love Mike. He's awesome. We're friends, and I was wrong about him. He was wrong about me. It's a game in the end, you know?
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
Jasmine, in this week's challenge, the traders had to sort seven of you into seven different deadly sins, and I believe you were given wrath. Do you think that was fair, or how would you sort yourself?
It was exactly fair. I was laughing. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. Like, as you two have been watching and the viewers, like, I don't think anyone would disagree, right?
Low key, it's one of the better sins for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I think so too.
yeah, like I would take that.
Yeah. I'll take that too.
Why not?
Yeah.
Now, we did also see after the challenge where they talked about how someone here or people here may not be who they say they are. We see you in a conversation theorizing that it's a possibility two people in this house could be related. Did that ever go anywhere? I know Kira was mentioned, but it was more so Rebecca, or did we just completely lose that trail?
So the thing that's so interesting, during there was like it was during like breakfast. I looked at Kyra and I looked at Nick. I'm like, they kind of look alike. But then I'm like, I was like it just like popped in my head like randomly. I was just like looking at everyone. It was at breakfast where I was like claiming like Lauren is a traitor and all that. I'm like, okay, let me just like look at everyone and just like I'm like, wait, Kyra and Nick kind of look alike. But it just like popped for a second. And I'm like, nah, I'm being crazy. Like I'm already a hot mess. Like I'm probably wrong about that too. But that did pop in my head. It really
Okay.
did. Yeah. But
Yeah,
I did not think Kyra and Rebecca were relatives. Like
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I have
you
a
had other stuff going on.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a feeling after this season, we're going to get a lot of that in the future of people now theorizing who is related to who or who knows somebody
Yep.
because of this. But
Yeah.
it's hard to look at it that way when it hasn't happened yet on the franchise. I definitely do understand that. Jasmine, this has been such a delight getting to talk to you. I want to keep going, but I know we're running out of time
Yes.
here. Where can people find you off of reality TV? And what projects do you do on the other side?
So I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a music artist, producer, and
Ooh.
songwriter. So you can find me life _of_ Jasmine. You can see I'm out there. I showcase my life. And you can see like from everything you see from my Instagram page, you can see my music videos, you can see what I do in my entrepreneurship and just like just how I do my life. Like that's my Instagram page, and you can find everything else from there.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you on a future reality TV project. We'll see what happens
I'm
there.
so ready. I'm so reality
I think
TV is awesome. I think I'm made for it. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree,
I think
but
we would agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're here to stay. You're here to stay. All
for
right.
sure.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.